Yo, what is up, guys? I hope everybody's day is going great so far. Mine's doing good. Today, it's Tuesday. As you guys know, we always do the predictions on Tuesday. We're going to be looking at every single match. We'll get a little in-depth with them, and I'll make my prediction. Last week didn't go so well for me. It was definitely my worst week so far this stage. I went a total of 7-5, and overall for the entire stage that puts me at 27-9. So we'll be looking to do better this week. Obviously there was a lot of upsets last week that nobody really predicted, which I'm happy about. It was great Overwatch. Hopefully this week is just as good. And if you guys enjoy my content here, please do consider subscribing. I upload videos every single day, multiple videos on news, drama, predictions, power rankings, top players lists, and even more. So drop that sub and join the Discord, guys. Viewing party tonight, Seoul Dynasty versus the New York Excelsior. This game starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, so be sure to hop on the Discord at 9 p.m. guys. The link will be down below. It'll be a great time, and let's go ahead and get started with my predictions. So with the very first match tomorrow, we have the Boston Uprising taking on the Dallas Fuel. Dallas Fuel are going through some crazy stuff right now. Drama, depression, nothing looks good for them. They won't have OGE into play, so we'll more than likely see Taimu on the main tank again. Who knows, they could give Coco a shot on it, but from what they've done already, it looks like Taimu is going to be playing that position until OGE comes in. On the other hand, we have Boston Uprising. They were actually going through some main tank problems as well. A little different from the Dallas Fuel, it seemed like Gamsu got sick, and they decided since he got sick, let's give him a well-deserved break, send him back to Korea for a couple weeks. Definitely interesting. He will be back for this match, so that's good for them. And there were also those rumors coming out of Slasher that there is inter-team turmoil. Whether or not they're selling the players, I don't know, but I do believe there's inter-team turmoil because the statement that Huck put out about it was very odd. None of it added up. It just didn't make sense. Regardless of that, though, I still think the Boston Uprising are in way better shape than the Dallas Fuel. I'm going to give them this match 3-1 or 3-2. Moving on to the next game, we have New York Excelsior taking on Seoul Dynasty. This is the game we're doing the viewing party for tomorrow, so be sure to join the Discord, guys. It's gonna be great. Now, this is one of the best matches of the entire week and stage. We have the two giants right now. Both of these teams are looking amazing so far in the stage. The Seoul Dynasty, they're 6-0, 19-5 on maps. As for the New York Excelsior, they're 5-1 in sets. They did lose that one set against the London Spitfire in the very first week. They didn't have Arc though, so they do have an excuse. Their map scoreline is actually 20-5 though, so they're +1 higher than Seoul Dynasty. This is basically the matchup we're all waiting for. It will more than likely decide who is going to be the number 1 seed going into the Stage 1 playoffs. I also can't see either of these teams falling out of the Stage 2 playoff run. So this match is big. On one side of the field, the Seoul Dynasty, this really looks like their meta. Sure, they slacked off in Stage 1, but as of Week 1, Stage 2, none of that mattered. These guys have been popping off. Miro looks great. Munchkin looks great. They look like that dominant Lunatic High team that we used to see in Season 3 and Season 2 of Apex. They're very smart with the way they move around the map, and they're really good at focusing on strategy in-game and outplaying their opponent. As for the New York Excelsior, these guys looked amazing in Stage 1, and they've honestly looked better in Stage 2. I really didn't think Jonak could get any better, but in Stage 2, the guy is an animal. Hands down the best Zenyatta in the league right now, and he's also paired with SBB, who is arguably the best tracer in the league right now. Then we can't forget about their tank line, Mako and Mano, probably the best duo in the league as well too, so their roster from top to bottom is the absolute best. And what's very interesting about them so far in Stage 2, they've really been switching up their playstyle. SBB isn't really going for those tracer duels anymore. We saw in the Houston matchup a couple weeks ago, he strictly went for supports and main tanks. He was all over Raucus and Muma and completely ignored Jake. So we have no idea what they're going to throw at Seoul Dynasty, which makes this such an interesting matchup because Seoul Dynasty is that team that can identify your strategy and pick you apart mid-game. I absolutely cannot wait for this game. The viewing party is going to be lit, guys. This is the matchup of the week, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick Seoul Dynasty in a 3-2 victory. I'm telling you guys, I really want to pick the New York Excelsior, but something about Seoul Dynasty just feels right. It really does. At this very moment right now, Seoul Dynasty, I feel like they're going to edge it out and more than likely win Stage 2 overall. So there's my prediction, guys. 3-2 for Seoul Dynasty. Moving on to the next game, it's kind of a doozy. We have the Philadelphia Fusion taking on Shanghai Dragons. Obviously, Philadelphia Fusion, they're going to win this 3-1 or 4-0. No need to talk too much about it. I know Shanghai got 2 maps off them last stage, but Philly looked way more consistent and way better this stage. Moving on to the next day, Thursday, the first match is Shanghai Dragons going up against New York Excelsior. Once again, honestly, no reason to talk about this. I do feel bad. Shanghai is going to get destroyed by New York 4-0. Next matchup is the Florida Mayhem and Los Angeles Valiant. This is a game that I'm actually looking forward to because Florida Mayhem now for 2 sets in a row have looked amazing. Sure, they did lose against Houston Outlaws, but regardless, they looked great in that set. Tavik played amazingly. Swoosh didn't look like the worst main tank in the league. Logix was popping off, and they did the same thing in the reverse sweep against Dallas Fuel. So I feel like they are going to bring the fire to Valiant, and let's also remember that Florida Mayhem did get 2 maps off of the Valiant in Stage 1. It was a 3-2 set, went all the way to Lijiang Tower, the tiebreaker map. Valiant did come out on top, but Florida looked pretty decent in that set. That might have been their best performance of an entire Stage 1. So you never know. If the worst of the Los Angeles Valiant shows up in this set, they could lose. But I'm going to predict that Valiant decides to play good in this game. I know it sounds so weird. It's like, what decides whether the Valiant play good or bad? I honestly have no clue, but I think the Valiant will play good in this game. 3-1, 4-0, maybe 3-2 victory, but Valiant win in the end. Moving on to the next game, and this one's actually very interesting too. Houston Outlaws taking on the Los Angeles Gladiators. LA Gladiators seem to be on the rise. Houston Outlaws seem to be on the fall. The Gladiators are looking to do what basically no Western team has done so far, which is prove that you are consistently going to be a top contender. One week the Houston Outlaws are looking like the best Western team, then the next week it's the Valiant, then Boston, then Philly, and so on. It's like it cycles over and over with these teams. None of them can consistently stay at the top with the Korean teams. So the Gladiators are looking to be the first one to do that, and the Houston Outlaws are looking to turn around what has been a bad couple weeks for them. I do think this is going to be a close match. The Outlaws will bring their best, and then the Gladiators are going to bring their crazy strategies and just their insane hyper-aggressive plays with Fisher and Asher. I do think the Gladiators will win 3-1 or 3-2. Moving on to Friday, we have the Gladiators once again in a back-to-back, taking on the Florida Mayhem. As I mentioned already, the Florida Mayhem, they had a good week, but it's not enough to take on the Gladiators. The Gladiators are coming off an amazing week. They 4-0'd the Valiant and 3-1 the London Spitfire. Nobody saw this coming. Fisher and Asher are comboing for some of the best Tracer Winston play we've seen so far. I've mentioned Shaz and Big Goose in my videos. They're really looking like 2 of the most underrated supports in the league. Definitely my top Western duo right now. And it seems like they've really figured out their DPS situation. So Gladiators are going to take this 3-1 or 4-0. Moving on to the next game, we have San Francisco Shock taking on the London Spitfire. I think the London Spitfire are coming for blood in this matchup. After losing to the Gladiators, I don't think they're going to take any opponents lightly. They'll definitely be starting that A team. And as much as I want to say the San Francisco Shock stand a chance in this set, I really don't think they do. London Spitfire are going to win it 3-1 or 4-0. Moving on to the next game, we have the Los Angeles Valiant and the Boston Uprising. And this is going to be another good matchup. I feel like this week has some very interesting and close tight matches, hard to predict ones. We don't know which Los Angeles Valiant we're going to get. Boston Uprising did 4-0 the Valiant near the end of Stage 1. But if the Valiant do show up, they can always get a 4-0 in their favor as well. It honestly just depends on how good the Valiant want to play in this game. Really, it does. Boston Uprising have been struggling so far in Stage 2. They turned up near the end of Stage 1, but it's getting pretty late in the stage so far, and they haven't done it yet. So I'm going to say the Valiant will win this either 3-1 or 3-2. Moving on to Saturday, we have the second blockbuster matchup of the week. It's going to be the Seoul Dynasty taking on the London Spitfire. And the London Spitfire are basically fighting for their Stage 2 playoff chances here. If they win this match and win out, they will more than likely qualify for the playoffs. But if they lose it, I think they're out. So the pressure is really on for the London Spitfire. Seoul Dynasty, if they lose to New York Excelsior, then lose this set, there's also a chance they don't make it either. And it's definitely a possibility that the Seoul Dynasty lose both of these matches. I wouldn't be surprised because obviously they're going up against 2 of the best teams in the entire league, the London Spitfire and New York. So this match definitely means a lot. The pressure is going to be brewing. And we seen in Stage 1 when the pressure got hard for Seoul Dynasty, they cracked. They got 4-0'd by the Valiant and missed out on the playoffs because of it. As for the London Spitfire, when the heat turned up, they turned up and they answered the call. They performed on notice. Down 0-2 in the Stage 1 playoffs, they made the full reverse sweep, came back and won. So I think they will handle the pressure a bit better than Seoul Dynasty. But I mentioned earlier, this is Seoul Dynasty's meta, and I do have that gut feeling about them right now that they will win the stage. But how? How can I not bet on the London Spitfire? They haven't let me down up until this point, and I'm just going to have to ride and die with the London Spitfire. I believe they'll win this matchup 3-2 or 3-1, thus qualifying for the Stage 2 playoffs. The next game is San Francisco Shock taking on the Houston Outlaws. This is going to be an interesting one because we have Dante, who has recently been on fire, and then we have Houston Outlaws where we have Jake, who has not been able to perform on the Tracer at all this stage, and Tracer is so crucial right now in this meta. The San Francisco Shock are really going to have the advantage in that area, but then if we look at the tanks of the Houston Outlaws, they have Muma, they have Coolmat, who I think most people will say are better than Nevix and Nomi. Obviously, Linkster's a god, and I think Baby Bay has been playing very well too, so I think this will be a very close matchup. San Francisco Shock were able to get that win last week off of the Dallas Fuel, but that also doesn't say much because it is the Dallas Fuel, and they're going through hella drama at the moment, but Houston Outlaws are slumping, so this game is really up in the air. Either team can take it. I am going to go with the Houston Outlaws though. I do think they'll win 3-2 or 3-1. Moving on to the very last match of week 4 stage 2, we have the Dallas Fuel Philadelphia Fusion, and I see no reason to go for the Dallas Fuel in this matchup. Let's be real, guys. Philadelphia, they've looked pretty good in stage 2. Sure, they're a bit inconsistent, but we're looking at the Dallas Fuel, guys. They are an absolute shambles at the moment. I'd be an absolute fool to think they have a chance in this matchup, so I'm going for the Philadelphia Fusion 4-0 or 3-1. So that's it for my picks this week, guys. We have some amazing games coming up. I really am thrilled for this week. By the end of it, we'll more than likely know who is going to make the Stage 2 playoffs. And if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and slap a like on it, subscribe to my channel for more Overwatch League content, and as well join the Discord for the viewing party. Also, I will be live on Twitch as soon as the Overwatch League ends, so we can all hop on my stream, talk about the games, discuss what happened. It'll be a great time. I'll see you guys there. Thank you for watching. Peace.